failure, fear of failure, and how do we deal with failure. Hi guys, my name is Eddie Lindenbaum from EddieForLife Coaching and Consulting. I'm an expert on fear. My whole life I've dealt with fear. And today in this video I want to talk about failure. How do we deal with failure? What is failure basically? And how do we deal with something else, which is the fear of failure? And those are all different things. So we're going to talk about those three things in a moment. Let's get into it. Before we get into how do we deal with all these things, let's talk for a moment, what is failure? And you see, we have a tendency to judge ourselves very harshly. And we look at a lack of success in many times as failure. And they're two different things. We see ourselves, if we did fail, as a failure ourselves. And that is the worst thing to do. Because basically what's happening here? Our thoughts are coming up in our mind. And these thoughts are based on all kinds of voices in our past, from our families, from our loved ones, from daddy, mommy, siblings, uncles, who knows? And these thoughts, based on those voices, float up into our mind and we grasp upon them and we really believe that they are true. And then they build these structures which we hold on to in our lives. We hold on to those structures. We're a failure. And then the words have such an impact on our lives that we become that failure that we think we are. And failure and lack of success are two different things. Let me give you an example. A businessman, an entrepreneur, he makes a business plan. He thinks everything through. He does all his due diligence to the best of his knowledge. And he really does a good job in planning. And then something happens which is totally out of his control. Maybe a war breaks out. Maybe there's a devaluation in the currency. Who knows what? Is he a failure? Yes, he had lack of success. Yes, he had bad luck. But to call himself a failure, I wouldn't say that's a failure. He tried, and he did it to the best of his ability. So let's first of all clear that up. There's many different words which we can use, and failure is a word which is warranted in many conditions. But in the conditions that we went into things blindly, we didn't think things through, and we worked from emotions and not from logic. And then when things don't work out, that is a failure. So we do fail in life and we do have a lack of success. I hope that if you really understand where I'm coming from, try not to judge yourself too harshly. Be a little bit more gentle on yourself and really think about the difference between failure, lack of success, and anything else you want to think about in that area. So don't be too hard on yourself. That's for the whole definition of failure. Now let's talk about how do we deal with failure. It's so easy. If we really do fail and things don't work out, it's so easy to blame ourselves. It's so easy to start thinking, oh shit, I'm a failure. I can't do this. And it didn't work out, and it's not going to work out in the future. And we start going down and down and down, and then we lose faith in ourselves. We lose our self-confidence. How do we deal with that? There's no real solution which you do and that's it. If anybody's waiting for this magic solution, there is no magic solution. The only way to deal with failure, and I failed a lot in my life, so I'm telling you this from experience. I'm 67 now. I've done a lot of things in my life, failed, and I've had a lot of great successes. When you fail in something or when you don't have success, do not allow yourself to start thinking yourself as a failure. Train your mind, tame your mind, be aware of those thoughts in your mind and do not give in to them. That's number one. Be aware. Number two, realize, recognize, and think back on all the success you've had in the past. And we've all had successes. I don't care in what area it is. Remember things you've done. Remember successes you've had. And when you do that, you'll start balancing things out. And it won't be just lack of success or failure. You'll have a balanced view of yourself, and you'll get back your self-confidence and your motivation. And then get up and keep doing after you took a very hard view of what went wrong. Make sure to change what you did wrong and do it better in the future. That's the only way to continue in life. It's like being thrown off a horse. I've been thrown off motorcycles. I've had motorcycle accidents. One thing which I always knew in my life, okay, I've come from the martial arts my whole life, so I'm used to being thrown maybe. But one thing I always knew, if you're thrown off a horse, if you're in a motorcycle accident, get up right away. Get back on the motorcycle. Get back on that horse. Because if you don't, you're going to start having a fear of that motorcycle or horse, and that's going to screw you up in the future. So that's the second thing I wanted to talk about. How do we deal with failure? And I want to add something else. Never, never put your head down. Never. Walk proudly. Do not put your eyes down for anybody. Do not listen to those voices of people telling you, you should have, you didn't listen, why didn't you do it this way? You know, all these kind of voices which want to keep us down and keep us in a small little spot, and which do not allow us to flourish and to reach our maximum potential in life. Don't ever forget that if you stay in your comfort zone your whole life, maybe you won't have any failures, but you won't be living. And then on your deathbed, you're going to regret the kind of life that you had. Believe me, I've spoken to so many people and I've heard it so many times. So that's about dealing with failure. Now, how do we deal with something else, which is the fear of failure? And that is something so common to everybody. We're all scared. We're scared of failure because we have something in the back of our brain called an amygdala, which is an almond-sized piece there in the back of our brain, which its sole function is to keep us alive. So it keeps sending out these signals of something's wrong. You become scared. Be careful. Because in the old days, growing up in the wilderness, in nature, by ourselves, if you're alone and you're not really careful, then, if you fail, that means death. So that amygdala, its job is to keep us alive. The only thing is that things have changed in our evolution, and we have to take control of that, and we have to be aware of that. We have to be aware every time that fear comes up. And I do not suggest to give in to the fear, but to make fear of failure a friend of ours. Welcome that fear into your living room. Make it a friend. Have it sit beside you. Get to know it. And tell it also, hey, Mr. Fear or Mrs. Fear, I'm busy right now. I'm taking care of a business. Or I'm taking care of another emotion of mine, maybe love or maybe sadness, or I don't know. I don't have time for you right now. Take a seat in the waiting room. And when I do have time, then I'll call you and we'll talk. Make fear your friend. See it actually for what it is, which is only thoughts and emotions. That's all it is. Listen to the fear. Make sure that you're doing things the right way. And then the only thing which is left to do is to take the fear in the hand and go do what you believe you have to do and what is best for you, regardless of the fear. Don't give in to the fear. Never give in to your fears unless they have a real basis in reality. And even then, sometimes things are scary. Sometimes we have to do things which, if they don't work out, we might have to pay a price. But if we put in safeguards and we think and we make an action plan before that, and we think about everything that can go wrong, and still we're aware of all those metrics or whatever you want, or the more we know about the situation, the more we're able to handle it in business, in our personal lives, in any field. So, to sum that up, there is no wishy-washy way around fear of failure. There's no magical solution that you're not going to be scared to fail. Everybody's scared to fail. The only thing is, be aware of it. Make it your friend, and then take that fear and go do what you got to do. And never give in to the fear. I hope I brought you a little insight, a little value into this whole area of fear of failure, how to deal with those fears, how to deal with failure, and basically what really is failure. And if you want to go deeper into that area, if you're a business owner and you think that you're not living your life to the maximum of your potential, and it's because of fear of failure or other fears, maybe we should sit down and have a talk together, because then I can help you in that area. So feel free to message me and we'll set something up. Until then, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.